My name is Keith Tenzer, and today I'm super excited to demonstrate streaming single-shot and multi-shot chat completions durably and reliably with Temporal using Temporal workflows. Here we go. And first, we're going to zoom out and look and appreciate the full stack AI architecture here built on Temporal. And in orange, in every nook and cranny of this architecture, you can see Temporal workflows. And for good reason, because we want durability, we want scalability, we want observability, and we want guardrails around the code that we're shipping so that we can ship fast without breaking things. And therefore, we need Temporal. And we are going to zoom in today to the inference part, specifically conversations between users and LLMs. The first workflow we have is a single shot completions workflow, something you do every day when you go to ChatGPT or Claude or who not, and you ask a question. You go into the UI, you ask your question, that behind the scenes triggers an API request. And in our app, in our chat app, we are going to spawn or signal a temporal conversation workflow that is going to orchestrate our conversation and all of the turns. And each turn is going to execute various different activities that are defined in the workflow. In our case, we have a routing activity which determines the right LLM to send the request to. It also determines if we need to do web search, if the question required some kind of concurrency where we might not have that information in the model training. And then it will send the information and the question to the chat completions request to the LLM, get back the stream of the tokens, and that is going to be streamed then to our streaming backend, usually something like Redis, where our UI is also on that stream and via SSC. And each turn we're going to store in a message store so that we have the chat history for this conversation. We can do summarization, compaction, and we have the context. All right, enough said. Let's actually see how this works. Here is Temporal on the right. In the middle, I have my application for chatting, and I'm going to start a worker here on the left. In Temporal, without a worker, you can't do a whole lot because Temporal, while it orchestrates workflows, they're executed, the individual activities, tasks are executed inside a worker that you run in your environment. And now let us give this LLM a task to do. Let's have it write us a 1,000 word essay on the origin of Mars. This is a good one. And off it goes. And now I'm going to introduce an error. I just killed the worker midstream. You can see it stopped immediately, dead in its tracks. Let's see what's going on. We have our conversation workflow here in Temporal. And you can see here, we have great observability. It's going to show us what activities, everything that happened here. And we are on this step. And now you can see it just went red because it detected there is a problem, but we're going to fix it. So let's assume the infrastructure fixed itself, or whatever the issue was is now gone. And now we're going to see the beauty of Temporal, the magic, it being able to recover this stream, being able to recover this without doing anything, without the user touching the keyboard, just magically all works. Every time I see this, I'm impressed. And you can see here is our entire essay as we have it. And you can see here also, you might be thinking, well, I don't want to introduce something that's going to add latency to my chat conversation. I can't afford that. You can see here 243 milliseconds time to first token. That includes starting in Temporal workflow, streaming everything through Temporal, and that is incredibly fast. And then, as I mentioned, the observability, I can click into here where I can see there were some errors. This activity ran twice. I can actually see the last failure. It failed on a heartbeat. Heartbeats in Temporal are very important. And in this case, we can have low frequency heartbeats. Every 5 seconds, we heartbeat from the worker to the service. And if the service doesn't receive a heartbeat every 5 seconds, then it will fail the activity, and that activity can then be scheduled on another worker. In this case, we just have the one worker. That is quite impressive indeed. Now, let's look at something a little more sophisticated, the multi-chat completions. And this is going to be really fun. what happens here is you ask a question to the LLM, but you're not asking to one LLM, you're asking a bunch of LLMs at the same time, and then you get back all the answers and synthesize them together. And the way that looks is you go into your UI, you ask a question, fires off an API request, which in our case starts a multi-completions temporal workflow. And this workflow can either fan out, meaning we will in parallel execute those completion requests to all LMs at the same time. That's what I'm going to show you. But this workflow that we've designed here can also do a chain. So it can chain from one LLM to the next, so that each can iterate on the other's response. And then at the end, you synthesize everything together with a judge model, another model that obviously isn't part of the original ones that you're asking the question. And then you stream that to your streaming backend, which then is plugged into the UI. All right, enough said. Let's get this cooking. So here we have this great little shortcut /AI, which brings up all of our default built-in AIs. And I'm going to have them debate who was the greatest US president. This is going to be interesting. What are they going to come up with? And you can see here, they are already starting to answer. And you can see here in Temporal, this multi-shot workflow has been started. And if we look at the activities, you can see 2 of them are complete. I'm going to introduce my failure at this point. So now I actually 3 of them completed before I got the failure. So just ChatGPT, which was a little bit slower, thankfully. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been a great demonstration. And we're going to just wait till this fails. You can see here it's failing. And we're going to bring back the worker, simulate the problem being fixed here. And it's going to, of course, magically recover and continue. Of course, at some point, the UI would give up here and just continue on with whatever answers it had. But it has some time for this. This is a little bit more of a research type use case, or a deeper kind of research use case that is going where you have a little bit more time than where single shot, which is much more sort of latency and time sensitive. And you can see here, ChatGPT came back, and now we have our analysis. You can see just how fast it synthesized everything, and we have the debate here. There looks like they're debating between Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, all quality picks. And you can see here, Abraham Lincoln emerges as the victor, the greatest president of the United States, according to these LLMs. That is interesting. And you can also see here, again, we have our great observability. We can click into this issue here. We can see we have this heartbeat timeout again as our failure scenario. And this is just fantastic. Great observability, great recoverability, and the scalability. Temporal, you can have billions of workflows, billions of conversations. And so I hope you enjoyed this and it was informational, and I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, just reach out to us at Temporal and we'd love to talk. Thank you.